All right, guys, so here we are at day 2 of Cyara Xchange 2025 in Austin, Texas. I'm here with my friend Abhi. I'm going to let you introduce yourself, Abhi, but number one, pretty cool event so far, right?
Yeah, so far so good.
There's a lot of fun stuff going on. There's a lot of interesting things being exchanged, lots of ideas and different things that are happening in the world of technology. But you take the mic, my friend. Feel free to introduce yourself to the CX Nation.
Sure. I lead the digital assurance solutions practice. I am a director at Canada Life insurance company, and my primary focus and mandates are on technical solutions, implementation and rollout, more on the strategic side of the practice. So dealing with a lot of vendors, suppliers, their tools, how it fits into our landscape, and then understand more like what kind of ROI that we are gonna get, and then slowly and steadily, right, roll out those solutions to our different line of business, so that our end users and customers and consumers are going to get benefited out of that. Right.
That's fantastic. So number one, you spend time thinking about and working on a place that so many companies, it takes them years or it takes them a long time to get to the point where they're able to have someone like you that's really honing in on how to build a roadmap and how to think about all the different capabilities of a product or a service, or how to think about connecting all of these, let's call it what it is, these complex or these complicated technical pieces.
Absolutely.
And then the last thing is like, you guys you work at a very large company, my friend, that there's got to be a ton of things every single solitary day that you're trying to sort of piece together, socialize, try to create answers or to create new information or tribal knowledge for. So pretty cool space and place that you're in.
Thanks. I think, my approach is always start small and stay small, right? So, like you mentioned, Adrian, that it's a big company. There are lots of guardrails, there are lots of checks and balances, policies, governance, and whatnot. So my focus is how to navigate, right?
Yeah.
And that's why I love to say it's a strategic compass rather than strategic roadmap, right?
Yeah.
Because the compass actually lets you navigate through the complex roadmap.
Yep.
And that's a very key point, that how can I make my consumers and customers' life easy?
Yep.
So my focus is always customer centric, customer focused, because the customers are the first, and then how do I solve their problem? That's my primary focus.
I love it. Do you mind me asking you, Abhi, how'd you get into this type of work? Was there a couple early stepping stones in your career? Were you always drawn to trying to help kind of navigate this whole space? What brought you into this whole sphere?
Well, so I started my technology career in quality assurance and quality engineering, right? Quality is the end all and be all, right? Because we are all working together, right? Be it development, business analyst, right? Product management, quality assurance team, all looking for that one goal, which is the quality. So very early at my career, that strikes me a lot, right? That how do I go there, attain the quality for my consumers and customers? And that was more like a stepping stone for me, right? That trying to understand all aspects of the entire software development lifecycle as well as software testing lifecycle, right? And with the evolving technology and different trends in the software, how can I quickly learn and apply those, on my day-to-day work, right? So that's how it's all started, and then here I am with navigating a career which is full of surprises sometimes, right? But I love to do what I do, all right?
That's amazing. What you just said, so following a whole customer life cycle, a whole customer journey. So, Abhi, we spend a ton of time with our clients at CXChronicles, really kind of helping them think about not just understanding all of the nuances or all of the granular pieces of a customer journey, all the way from awareness to consideration to conversion to onboarding to account management to loyalty and retention, and then rinse, wash, repeat. But when you just said thinking about it more from a technical perspective, and then you also said thinking about what the life cycle of the testing piece looks like, how does that work in that type of a play? Are you literally following along with the overarching high-level customer journey, say, of Canada Life, and then you're figuring out along the way where are the shortfalls? Where are the gaps? Where are the customer consternation points? Where are the technical consternation points? And then employees too, because I know me and you talked about this the other day before we got to Austin. Like, employee experience is a big part of this too, making
Absolutely.
sure that you know what are the things that drive our own team crazy, let alone if it drives our own team crazy, it probably drives our customers crazy too. Well,
Yep.
is that kind of what you do? You follow along in that customer journey?
Yep,
That's how you
yep.
kind of...
So the strategy and the approach that I and my team takes, right? It's like, don't start with a goal. Start with the customer gaps, right?
Okay.
So in every organization like us, right, we all have some gaps exist, right?
Absolutely, 100%.
And the gaps could be in 3 different P's. I call them 3 P's model.
Okay.
It's people, process, and product,
Okay.
which is again, in other words, people, process, and technology,
Sure.
right?
Yep.
And it's always, for me, is people over process over technology.
Okay.
So I look at things from a people first. Do we have gaps within our talent and skills
Yep.
and experiences? I look at different processes which will drive different sort of success criteria, like innovation and stuff like that. And then comes the technology or the product piece, because then you basically know that what are the gaps you have in your people and process, and how technology will come and solve your problem. Because for me, technology is an accelerator, is not the creator of momentum,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So that's how we start creating those gaps, and then put those gaps as part of our strategic compass, which is strategic roadmap, right? And then we create small, minor, major milestones, right?
Okay.
And then we basically try to find out from market analysis that what are latest technology trends, right? However, it is very important for me to understand the current maturity, because if there is no automation, I cannot bring suddenly the generative AI, right? So you need to attain a certain level of maturity within your technology space.
Yep.
And then you navigate from maturity level 1 to 2 to 3 to
like
4.
that.
So
I like that.
So essentially your current state maturity, and then evaluate that where you want to go in the next couple of years, let's say in 12 months, 18 months, looking at your current customer gaps, right? And then you solve the problem through technology. So technology for me is always an accelerator, not a creator of momentum.
I love hearing you say that, because I think one of the things I've been talking about a ton on the podcast, probably for the last several months, if not for the last 6+ months now, is I promise, and all my listeners, as much as I love technology and as much as we all love it, and we're living in one of the best times that you could live as a human being right now.
Sure.
Life is pretty darn easy if you're smart, and if you know if you got an iPhone in your hands, you can do anything you want, right? But the one interesting thing that I'm so glad that you brought up, and it's important hearing it from someone like you that's an expert in the space, which is, it's also become really easy for companies of all sizes, small businesses, mid-market companies, enterprise companies alike, to almost kind of over-index or overvalue, you know what? Yeah, those gaps, those problems, there's a piece of technology for that. We'll just go pull this piece of technology. But that's not always the right way to start, number one. Number two, and again, as much as I love technology, I know that we're in a technology event right now with a bunch of our friends. We've all made our whole livings and our careers in technology, so I'm not hating. But what I am saying is, there's more and more reports that show and suggest companies globally are already spending over $1 trillion a year on software.
Yep.
The best companies on planet Earth, the Microsofts, the Googles, the Metas, and so on and so forth, they're barely utilizing their tech stacks at a 20 to 30% utilization rate.
Exactly.
Then you got people like Abhi coming on the show who does this every single solitary day of the week and saying, common for gaps getting identified as one thing, but then to kind of, I'm going to rephrase your comment there, but the technology is not going to create the momentum. It's just another thing that comes in that we have to apply. It's still going to be people and humans.
Exactly.
Working with customers, working with developers, working with your internal team to figure out what types of things actually need to happen before a piece of technology ever might be able to come in and actually start to solve problems or create the new fix for it.
I resonate with that concept all the time. It's like I said again, it's people over process over technology. See, there is a term, I don't know, Adrian, you know this. It's called Homo technologicus.
Okay.
Just like a Homo sapiens is human.
Yeah.
So Homo technologicus are like, we are all Homo technologicus because we are so attached to the technology,
Absolutely.
right? So like you mentioned, right, that there is a gap, there is something that you want to solve, right? And as part of your solution, you start with, oh, I know there is a tool, there is an utility, there is a framework that exists somewhere. I'm just going to bring and try to fit in. No, that's not the way to solve the problem, because your landscape is different, your maturity is different. So you need to have a very good hold and idea about what's the maturity you have and where you want to go. And then it's very important to have quick wins, right? Because my focus and mandates are at an enterprise level, right? But that doesn't mean that all the line of business have the same level of maturity that I can bring a solution, I can bring a tool and apply across the enterprise.
Absolutely.
So I need to basically play accordingly, like based on the different maturity level, right? And then once I have some quick wins, then I can create that business case and then show the benefits to the other line of business. And that's how you actually leave from, in my term, is good to great to build to last, right?
So I love it. It's funny. I love the fact that you are calling out so clearly maturity level as being and it makes sense when you say it out loud like this. It makes so much sense. But there's so many clients that we've either worked with at CXC or even guests that we've had on the show where, for example, I'll just give an example. They'll maybe they're a smaller startup company or they're an emerging company and they've got maybe the first 20 or 30 people on board, and they talk about how they're struggling, say, for example, with utilizing or leveraging Salesforce, let's say, as their CRM. And one of the things that me and my team will get into, we'll say, well, let's talk about Salesforce. So, for example, who on the team internally is there literally to help make sure that every single day things are getting updated, things are connected, information is actually hitting the right points, reports are being created, updates are... Oh, well, nobody. I do that myself. And then we'll say, oh, well, you're the sales leader. Yeah, I know. Aren't you on phone calls with customers and new potential customers all damn day? Yeah. Well, then how are you going to be the individual that's able... So, when I hear maturity, even understanding how to... which technical solutions are most ripe depending on which maturity stage you are in a business, right? The tools or the SaaS solutions that might be prime for a startup are not the same tools that are going to be ripe for a Canada Life, for example.
Exactly.
So I love that you're kind of calling out the maturity phase.
And that's how it always works, right? If you look at different organizations, some organizations are open source heavy tools. Some organizations are still with the license-based tool, right? So depending on the length and the breadth of the company, I think it works. And sometimes, you need to have a hybrid strategy, right? So where you are going to work with certain open source solutions that works for you. You are going to work with certain license-based solutions because you need to look at your end users, right? What's the value that you want to give it to your consumers and customers end of the day? And I think this is why I focus a lot on the productization, right? So I'll give you a quick example, right? Whenever there is a product launched in the market, and it could be a retail product, a health product, or anything, right? That product doesn't actually solve all the customer problems at the start, right? There is a specific customer base on the basis of which the product is launched, and then very important part of a productization is the customer feedback loop, right? So as soon as you get new customers buying your product and then they are giving you feedback, you basically creating your backlog to go to the next maturity level of that product, and then you relaunch the product or you change the version, right? Same concept with the technology, because when I create a strategic solutions, I know my customers and consumers, but that doesn't mean that I'll be able to solve the entire enterprise problems, right? And that's why I'm stressing a lot in terms of that maturity, and then getting the customer feedback, and then make changes to your product and relaunch it, right? Roll it out. And this all goes by that 3P model, which is a productization and product factory model.
Yeah, that's so well said. And it's funny because whether people appreciate or they understand the value and the criticality of getting constant feedback from your customers, feedback from your employees, feedback from your partners. There was a guest that we had on recently who said something, you'll appreciate this, that I'd never heard before. He talked about the voice of builder. Mm-hmm. And so it was really interesting because everybody here knows about VOC or VOE or VOP, even VOP, voice of product.
Yep.
But he was talking, he was a leader of a large engineering team, and he was talking about, Adrian, but what's important is also to make sure that across all of those other ways of gathering information and assessing information, he said, we always use the VOB as a way to be able to take all of these different sets, and then we go back and we organize. So when you just said, like, some of these things are just backlogs for the V2 or the V3 version of product X or product Y or service Z or whatever, that makes a lot more sense in terms of how, because you have there's almost a different cut, there's a different sense of understanding, and there's a different sense of the technical to-dos when certain people see information from a piece of customer feedback than say when somebody like myself looks at it. Right?
Yeah.
So I think that's fascinating. Avi, what were the big things you were excited about being here in Austin for this week? I know that we got all these incredible leaders and all these awesome customer-focused business leaders, all these different great leaders from different companies. What were you most excited about to come here to learn and to exchange this week in Austin?
Sure. Well, I think we just did a big migration project from our on-prem platform to AWS, Amazon Web Services.
How was it? How did it go?
Contact center. Oh, that went fine with, of course, some initial hiccups, and that's where my engagement with Cyara started, right? Where we wanted to get some CX automation tool that'll give us the customer experience, because the scope was huge, the time was very limited, and we wanted to run everything automated, right? And we didn't have an automated solution, right? And that's when I went to the market, did my research, and did some analysis. And Cyara, of course, is a kind of a game changer for us, right? Because they came and they solved the problem. Now we are using their product Velocity, right? And we have used their monthly project-based solutions Cruncher, which is for the CX performance testing. So, we are pretty new to this engagement with Cyara, right? So, what brings me here is absolutely I want to learn more about Cyara products. There are new launches. There are 6 products, innovative products they are launching even today, right? So, and then learn more about Botium, right? Which is their Botium, the overall AI experience, right? And the NLPs. So absolutely, it's a brain opener, eye opener for me. Learning a lot of things about how they are actually, maturing and growing their platforms and their customer base. So I'm so happy that I'm here.
Well, number one, we're happy that you're here too. I'm super pumped that you were able to come and join us on CX Chronicles. Pleasure getting the chance to kind of to get to know each other and keep up the amazing work, man. And it's events like this where you get to exchange ideas like this, meet different people, meet, see how other companies are doing this stuff. This is the stuff that really helps to push things forward.
Thank you, Adrian and CX Chronicle, for this opportunity. I really love talking to you.
Absolutely.
Thanks a lot.